For joining us today as we take a look at how you can go from query to BI with SQL, allowing you to open the door to business intelligence possibilities within your organization. Hello, my name is Stacy Jensen. I'm the sales manager for the Business Intelligence Division here at Help Systems. I'm going to kick off the webinar and very quickly hand it off to Mike Stegman. Mike is our Senior Data Access Consultant for the Business Intelligence Division. He has been working with SQL for over 15 years and has worked on the IBM I since 1988. How are you, Mike?
Doing real good. Glad to be here, and hopefully we can give some good information to the attendees today.
Great. Thanks. A little housekeeping about today's session. If you have questions during this session, please use the chat feature to send your message. So you can reach that chat option by clicking on the orange arrow at the top right-hand side of the screen. We're going to address those questions during our Q&A at the conclusion of the webinar. If we don't have time to address all your questions, we will make sure we address your questions offline via email. So we are recording the webinar, and we will include a link to the recording in our follow-up email. It's usually within a day or so. So we have a lot of good information to share today, so let's get started, Mike.
All right. Sounds good. Some people freak out, when they hear about accessing their data. Their eyes gloss over, they begin to sweat, tremble. Relax, everyone. It's not that bad. You don't need to be an expert to design a SQL, what we call a view, to access your data. Like the song says, don't worry, be happy. These are the topics I'm going to touch on in today's presentation. Building queries for business needs, prompts and dashboards, and secure accessibility of the information. And I'll finish with a demo of SQL. SQL has a graphical interface that we call viewpoint. To assist in the building of the definition, you can use this feature of viewpoint like auto join, default join types, favorite files list, and add power to the definition with conditional logic, field conversion, field editing, subqueries, and a whole lot more. And when it's run, it uses the IBM SQL query engine, which is much faster processing. SQL has been around since the days of the System 38, so well over 30 years. So it's a very powerful tool. Prompts are usually in the where clause, but not always. And this is where the where clause is where you can filter the data. And the user at runtime can select the data they wish to see. Just about anything in your definition can be made a variable. We see here just some examples: dates, regions, and states. Customizable dashboards can be simple or as complex as you make them. A simple dashboard with nothing but buttons, maybe using it as a menu system. How about a manager's dashboard from a shortcut with data and graphs that can be drilled into? Or a dashboard for display on a large monitor that automatically refreshes so that everybody can see. And all this can be built with SQL. Now, securing it all, SQL at its core relies on the most reliable and securable system ever, the IBM I. We honor the security that you already have set up on the I, if you have it set up, but in addition, you can use one of two SQL-supplied security processes for even more security. And the results of your SQL definition can be accessed via a web browser or our Windows graphical tool. Jobs can be scheduled for file creation or for emailing of PC files. A lot of different options, a lot of different power that you have available with SQL. Okay. So now I'm going to jump in to a brief demo. We're going to show how you can import a query, build something from scratch, creating runtime prompts. We're going to cover dashboards, and all the while talking a little bit about securing the access and the information. So now I got to flip over on my screen, so bear with me, and hopefully it all works well. Right. Okay, this is Viewpoint. This is our graphical interface. Okay, it's right now you're seeing Nothing on the list because I haven't actually clicked into a library. And I have a custom library list set up over here. And I want to click in this one called Business Intel, and I'm going to import a query definition. Someone asked me yesterday, the other day, can you import? And I was doing a demo. It's like, yeah, if you can click, you can import. So you go into your query library. I'm going to pick a couple of them here. Before I do the import, I like to make a couple of changes here. Just it's the way I like to do it here. So I'm going to choose this one called orders, pay date, and I'll pick sales down over here too, and then do the import. There we go. And it takes just a moment. And now it's going to bring it down and import all three of them. Now these are SQL objects. Queries are left untouched. I can open up in Design, or I can just display them right from here. So with the order view, I clicked on Display. So we're going to see this pop up here in just a second. There it is. Same data that we'd see with the query, but it's already more modern if that's one of your goals, right? We're seeing it here in what looks like PC format. You see that derived field. We're going to tweak that a little bit, right? We're going to add some power to that. So let's go open this guy up in Design. I'm going to open it up. So now it's going to take us into a screen that looks very similar to what I showed on the PowerPoint. Okay, there's our three tables that came in from the query, right? Everything there looks fine and dandy. I'm going to add a fourth file, though, just to show you how easy it is. Go to my data library, which got to change the library here. I do have a favorites file set up, another shortcut within Viewpoint that I like to use. It limits me to just a handful of files, easy to do. Auto join. I've told SQL how to link the files, so when order line and part mass come in, they're already joined on the product number. I don't have to worry about it. And if the default join type is fine, I'm good to go. I'm going to start adding some extra fields. I'm going to bring in the region field from the customer master. Just drag and drop, put it in the first position. Okay, I'm going to grab, let's see, the class from the part master. Put it out over here, and then the description field as well. Give me a little bit more detail on the report. All right. I'm going to grab another field here, which is the address 3. And just, again, click and drag. I want to move the state field. So all you have to do is click on that little gray bar ahead of it, drag it over. Real simple to do. And the field is called address, has a label of address in my database, but for this display, I want to show what it actually is, the city. Now going over to that derived field that we named derived, I want to give it an alternate name. That way I can look at it later and use it later and give it a better column heading. Okay, so I call it extended price. So I've added a new file, added a couple new fields, changed the column heading. I'm going to change the sort order now. I've added the region and state and just change the order, and the other ones will fall into place. So what was 1, 2, and 3 now become 3, 4, and 5, just real simply. So except for the names, the city and the extended price, I haven't touched the keyboard much. You can change your formatting. You can make it a currency if you'd like, or add this 1000 separator, or in some cases you may have to remove the 1000 separator. How many databases have that automatically for numeric fields, but you don't want things like order number or customer number set with 1000 separator. Okay, the region field looks okay. All right, so at any point you can hit the display. So I'm going to come up and display it. And there's my new result set. Now, if the query is left untouched, right, and this is what it would have brought up, and now it's as the original SQL view, right? But now I've added some stuff to it. I've added some more definition. I've added some more information. I've clarified some things with the column heading, right? I've changed the sort, the position of the fields. Give it a little bit more information with just a matter of click and drag, drag and drop, a couple of things there. Okay. Now, as developers know, creating a prompt over an IBM query usually takes some programming. Well, here, in SQL, it's really simple. So I'm in the where clause. This is our expression editor. I'm going to create a variable or a prompt for the region field. So region equals, you put an ampersand in front of the word, and if the word is the same as the field, you're done. We will create that variable for you. Okay. So go ahead and click OK to accept it. Now I'm going to run it right from here, hit the display again. Now I have a prompt. I'm going to enter, let's say region 10. It's a good one to start with. Same columns, but now I've selected the data for just region 10. any customers within region 10. Okay, but now I'm going to tweak the variable a little bit. We can add some extra flexibility and power to it, giving the user some assistance. I'm going to change it here in the integrity test area to what's called a values list. Okay, I'm going to give the user some options. So I'm going to let them pick either regions 10, 20, or 30. Now when I hit the display, that's the drop down, 10, 20, 30. Okay, I'll pick 30 here just to show how it runs. Same columns, but now just the data has been selected for region 30. Okay. Another way you can do the list is what's called a DB list. I can go against a SQL view or a file. So I'm going to run it against an existing file out there. So I'm going to go to my data library. I'm going to tell it to search for files. And I'm going to grab the customer master, which, if you remember, was one of my files in the view. That's how it's done a lot of the times, right? Not always, but it's great. And I pick the region field from here. Now, we do a little select distinct under there, so I get one entry for each of the regions. I only have 5 regions, but works great if you have states, which are a lot of states, or product numbers or customer numbers, things like that, right? I'm going to save this. I'm going to do a save as so I don't step on that original one that I imported. So we could give it a different name and then a different description. Now, it's not often that data is just simply in the files waiting to be looked at. You may have to massage the data with techniques like using different joins or derived or calculated fields, subqueries. You might even have to do multiple passes over the data. So I'm going to look at some other views that I've already created that help us get to those results. So what I have here is a summary view. Okay, I'm using the sum grouping function, and with that, I can do what's called dynamic regroup or dynamic show details, dynamic drill down. I'm going to drill down from this one view definition into the data. So I picked the Midwestern region and said, show me the results based on the state. Okay, now for the Midwestern, I'm seeing the same columns there, but I'm looking at it by the state level. It's grouped by state. So we build the SQL into the covers where we add a filter for the Midwestern region and change the select and the group by. And I can continue to go from any field within the definition. So if the original definition had more information, I could go farther into it. Sometimes you have to go over the data multiple times, like in a union view. Okay, so this particular if anybody knows what a cash flow is, right? You have to get a bunch of different information. So what you can do is use a union view. I'm going to close down the display here just so you can see it a little bit easier. There we go. So that union view is each one of these lines is grabbing a different calculation, doing a different select, and they're all brought together using a union. Another option, subqueries. If you don't know what a subquery is, that's okay. Developers will know what that is. Okay, the most questions we get on there is where do you do the subquery? And the answer is in the where clause. So here I'm looking at picking my customers where the amount due field is greater than the average of all of my customers. Okay, so again, there it is in the where clause down at the bottom. And if I run it, you can see I have 21 customers that have a balance due over the average amount of the amount due field. So subquery is a great way to get that data. It's almost like doing multiple passes, similar to the union, but different. Sometimes you do have to do something in a script, and this is a SQL script, right? I'm going to take my data and put it out to a work file and then display the information in that work file. One of the reasons I'm doing this is because I want that work file to have the data sorted already in the way that I want. Then I can use what's called the relative record number to actually go in and get it. And that's what you see over on the side. I've labeled the column rank. So I put it in the order I want, so then when I get it and prompt on it, I can pick the correct number. Okay, the user just runs the query. They don't know what's going on behind the scenes, most likely, right? So there's a lot that you can do within there. Now, scripts could do a lot of other things too. Maybe you have multiple databases like I have here. You create views over different databases. I have some for DB2 on the SQL Server, Oracle. And what I'm doing here is bringing them all into one file. There's different ways you can do it. I just brought in this example all into one. And then now when I display it, I get Bear, Able, and Cook which all come from, in my database, different databases. Bear comes from DB2, Able from SQL Server, and Oracle is Cook. And the command at the bottom is telling me what I can do. That's going to bring it to the screen like you just saw. There are other commands and other ways you can do this. Scripts can be powerful. They're a lot like CL programming, but it doesn't have to be quite that involved. Okay. Now, do you want to get the information into a PC file? Well, it's easily done, right? How about if you want the user to do it? Well, they got the option right here: display the results or display it in Excel. If they do display it, they have a toolbar. This is from Viewpoint, right? So I can come here and I can click on the Save Results, and I can bring it right to a PC file. I get to pick my format like Excel. I can also pick other ones. Pick the location. I can do it myself. I don't have to wait for the email to send it to me. Right? So there's a lot I can do from here. I can save the results right from here. I don't even have to run it to get the toolbar. I can email right from here. Set in the email addresses, copy, blind copy, subject and messages, pick my format. Again, large list of options there. I can even schedule it. It'll go to the robot scheduler if you have it. If you don't, it'll create an entry on the IBM iJob scheduler. Okay, so I can come out here. This machine has robot, so it comes into focus, and I can make that entry if I choose, and that's for email. Okay, now all of that stuff you can also do from the browser. You can see I'm actually now in the browser. There's my display results, right? Which, when you run it from the browser, just brings it to the screen. Download. I can download it to a PC file right from here. I can print it. I can email the results, right? Same as you saw from the other side. You can't schedule from here, but that's okay. Right? A lot of times your users are using the browser side. There's no design capabilities. You don't want the scheduling. You just want them to run it. Okay? And when they do run it, get a little, depending on how you're running it. Here I'm running it from the Explorer, so I get the data in a new tab, and the data has the toolbar. Just like I saw from outside, I now can do that from inside. Okay? I can actually do that. I can play with the data too. I can sort it. Change my sort. I can hide columns maybe before I save it as a PC file. I can do that if I choose. So from the browser, it's not just look. There's no design. You can't design a new view. You can drill down. You can move the data to a PC file, create graphs and charts. There's a lot that you can do within the browser. Okay. I'm going to flip back over just real quickly here, back to the Viewpoint side. Let's talk about dashboards. I want to start up a new dashboard. I call this the canvas, right? You're the artist. What does an artist start with in most cases? Well, a blank canvas, right? Now let's start inserting some things. It doesn't matter the order. You can do text first, or you can start bringing in your SQL objects. Here I'm bringing in our good friend AR. I've shown this from the browser side. So once it's run, it's on the dashboard. So now I just resize it to where I want it. Okay, create a graph over it. Let's create a chart over that. I'm going to highlight the total AR data. Click the chart button, runs the chart. Now it comes up, because I only have 5 elements, comes up as a pie, but I can change it to bar, horizontal, vertical, line. I can use a bunch of different types. Just go up under the chart there, position, size it. And I'm going to run that one that we created. Remember, I put it into the Business Intel library. It was called Orders 2. I did that a little while ago, right? Everybody was paying attention. Didn't know it was going to be a test, did you? And this one's prompted, right? Remember? So now I'm going to pick a region. It's going to ask me a very important question when I click OK. It says, do you want to save that value with the dashboard? Selecting no means the user is going to get prompted when the dashboard's open. So I'm going to click no. I want the user to pick the data. Okay, now, because my real estate's kind of filling up here, I'm going to reposition and resize these things just to kind of make some room. Right, I'm going to add a label or text box. So put in my text. It doesn't have to be uppercase. Any case you put in is what comes in. I'm just going to put dashboard example. Just going to keep it simple. I do like to change the font size of my text a lot of times, the main header, make it a little bigger, and I don't like to show the border, but it's an option. Okay, It's just an object then, position it wherever we want. You can insert other things as well. Action buttons are big, gauges are big. I'll show you some examples of what those look like. They're really easy to do when you're creating it. But now let's save the object. It's real important when you save it. You want to save it as a system I object. Why is that important? Well, you're putting it on the most securable system out there, right? The I itself, which you can secure the object, you can secure the library, everything gets backed up. But now it can be run from the browser, right? So I'm just going to come out here, give it a name. Sample dash. Probably not the greatest name to use in the real world, right? But I'm just creating one here just to let everyone know. So now it's been saved. So now I can close out of the design window. Come back to my browser section, the Explorer. Got to change my library. I'm going to put it into the Business Intel. And there at the top of my list, sample dash. Double click to run it. There's my prompt. Pick my data. Go ahead and click OK. Now remember, the prompt is for the data. It's at the bottom. Had I graphed something from there, the graph would also adjust. Right? It just so happens I didn't particularly graph that one. All right. So what else can you do from here? Well, let's look at a few other things. Dashboards are pretty powerful. Some of our customers, I saw a support person looking at a customer site recently where they had a lot more buttons than this, but maybe it's a menu system. So you give someone a shortcut where nothing is on the dashboard but buttons. They click a button and it takes them to some data, right? So now we're looking at some actual data. Graphs, gauges. I have gauges over here showing individual numbers. Graphs showing some different information, comparing. You can, if it's summary data, as most graphs are, you can do drill downs. I have my toolbar if I'm showing data, right? I can download. Everything I showed you before, I can still do. Buttons can take me to other dashboards, right? Or to other data. We don't really care how it works for you. Okay, so it's easy to do. Let's look at another dashboard. This one is a prompted dashboard, meaning that the data that's being displayed is prompted, kind of like the one that we created, right? So I'm going to leave the years as default and choose sales rep number 1. All right, so now I'm seeing the data on the right-hand side is salesman number 1, and then at the bottom it's the year over year by month graph for that sales rep. Okay, now if I go up, there's a reprompt all button on the dashboard. I don't have to close it and rerun it. I just hit the reprompt. Now I'm going to pick sales rep 7. So the 2 that are prompted for year-end sales rep now will adjust, right? The whole dashboard refreshes, but those other ones didn't have a prompt. They just reload. There you go. Here's another example of how a dashboard might look that you can create it. So those are a lot of the different examples. Dashboards are customizable. They're flexible, and they're quite powerful, right? There's a lot that you can do with them. And it runs the SQL objects onto the covers. So what did we do in the demo? We built a query, right? We imported a query. I kind of showed you how to do one from scratch, right? How you do the right click, design, add a file, then you start adding your fields. You can do your calculations all within there. You can do a lot of things within there. We talked about creating a runtime prompt. We talked about dashboards and some of the features out there. And because the objects are being saved on the I, you can secure them. You can secure the library. You can secure the objects using the IBM I authority, or if you choose, you can use SQL authority. So SQL allows you to create these powerful and flexible results, right? Customizable dashboards allow you to create and share the KPIs. That's important, right? And they can be shared from Viewpoint, our GUI interface, or the browser. And dashboards can combine all the key data you need in one place. And that gives the users the empowerment, right? And making it easy for them to get the information. They'll begin relying less and less on IT for reports, and then IT can be more productive. Using SQL and the I together will give the IT manager a peace of mind, right, that everybody should have. So there's no doubt that SQL is a solution that has many advanced features, all available when you need them.
Well put, Mike. Lots of really good information. Nice job on the demonstration. Let's take a look at the questions that came in during today's session. If anyone still has a question or two, please use that chat feature and send the question to all panelists. So we'll take a look at those. One more thing before we start answering your questions. If you're still not quite sure if SQL is a good fit for your organization, we do offer a trial. We would actually help you download, install it, walk you through getting started with the solution so that you can create your own little proof of concept to see if it will fit into your organization.
Exactly.
Mike, do you have the questions?
Yeah, I'm looking at some here. Is it possible to access Postgres database? I don't know if I mentioned Postgres, but absolutely. The administrator makes the links, so whether it's an SQL server, Oracle, MySQL, Excel, Access, Postgres. Basically, we need a JDBC Type 4 driver, but we ship it with a lot of those made already. The administrator just makes the link, right, makes the definition, and then when you design your view, the first thing you tell it is where you're going to get the data, and then everything else from that point forward is the same. Okay, might be little differences with the SQL because every version has its own information there. So one just popped up here. I want to get to that one quickly because it has to do with what you just said, Stacy.
Yes,
Can you see that one? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So Wendy asked how long that trial period is, and it typically takes about 30 days to evaluate SQL, but we're pretty flexible. We have many clients that have done it in a couple of weeks if they can commit the time and energy and resources. And then we've had other organizations where it might take them a couple of months because of their project load. So we're pretty flexible with you.
I see another one out here that says, I'm sorry, go ahead. We're probably looking at the same one.
Well, does browser access come with SQL?
Oh, I was looking at a different one, but yeah, okay. That's a good question. Does it?
Of course it does.
Yeah. When you install SQL, we're going to create an instance of the Apache server so you can. I just did one yesterday. I did a trial install for a customer, and yesterday afternoon, got her connected, got her installed right away. Once we put in the temporary codes, just bounced right over to the browser and said, "Okay, type this URL. There you go," and you're good. So yes, it does come with it. The one I was looking at was very similar to that, Stacy, and it says if they have SQL but they don't have dashboards, does dashboards come with, or can you, is there any limitation to the number of dashboards, things like that? Is a long question there, but basically, yeah, dashboards is part of it. We don't eliminate the dashboards or segregate it or anything. So when you get SQL, you get everything that you saw today. You get the dashboard capabilities and more. You get the ability, like I said, to download into Excel. You get the ability to move stuff around behind the scenes. You can put things into programs. You can schedule jobs. You can be real complicated, like I showed on some of those views. You can be real simple in just getting the data. There's even an Excel add-in that you can load, comes with, that you can actually start from Excel and say, go run the view and just put it right into Excel. So you don't have to open Viewpoint and go get it. A lot of options for the user to have their data right in front of them.
That's true. Hopefully we demonstrated that today. I mean, you really can go from query to business intelligence with SQL. So I think that's all of our questions. Mike, thanks again for a great demonstration, and we really appreciate everybody joining us today and hope you have a wonderful day.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.